everyone, I'm Neha Dhupia. Today, I'm not here as much as an actor, but I'm here as a parent and someone who's a very concerned one. We're going to be talking about child exploitation imagery. And again and again, we're going to reiterate the fact and how we should not share it and report it. Joining me in conversation today is Uma Subramanian, founder and co-director, Aarambh India Initiative. Hi, Uma.
Hi, Neha. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Uma, you've been like the driving force behind conceptualizing Aarambh. You spent almost 8 years doing what you do. You want to tell our viewers and our listeners, what you do, how Aarambh was formed, and more importantly, why it was formed.
The Aarambh India initiative, the main focus of the initiative is to ensure that children are protected from sexual offenses and all kinds of harm. And I think one of the most important things is that in a country like India, because of the stigma around sex and sexuality, the conversation around sex and sexuality doesn't happen. Due to which there is sort of a conspiracy of silence, and sexual abuse has been a part of our life since generations. So the Aarambh India initiative was started in 2013 to address some of these specific gaps. What we did was we started filling the knowledge gap in the issue. So we have the National Resource Center, which is India's first national resource center on the issue. So if you're a parent, you are anyone basically who wants to know more, wants to start this conversation in your community or family, you can start there. What we also started doing was we started working on the ground with victims, with systems, with the law enforcement agencies to understand what are the challenges that it comes to when you actually start implementing the law. And in 2016, which is the most important piece of our work, and I think that is why we are here to talk about it, is we launched the first hotline in India to report child sexual abuse imagery, which, for want of a better word, is understood commonly as child pornography. So because India didn't have a mechanism as such. So we basically work on both ends, prevention and response, dealing with victims, parents, institutions, governments, and other stakeholders.
Uma, you did say that you have, put in 8 years, and then, and in 2016 was when you actually put forward or actually brought together a hotline, which is something that is of such, it's of great use when it comes to child exploitation imagery, and, how it can be controlled and why it should be controlled. And that's why, one of the things I want to, I said that we will be saying this a lot. Please don't share it, report it. That's the most important thing. We actually think that we're doing the right thing by sharing it and this is happening, but it's also hurting the child at so many levels, because it doesn't take more than microseconds now for something to go viral. So there are ways of protecting the child, and I think that at Aarambh, you guys are doing a great job. Now, before we go further in conversation, I want to introduce someone else who is, who's very familiar with the digital world. She's a parent herself. She's had some great conversations, whether it's understanding the physical and mental health of your children, parents. She runs a fantastic community called Kidsstoppress. We've got Mansi Zaveri. Hi, Mansi.
Hey, Neha. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Mansi, for doing this. Mansi, one of the reasons why we had you here, because you're such an important voice when it comes to parenting and, the parenting community, which no one thought would become, so digital and so big in every conversation. And especially now that we're locked in, just happens on the phone. Now, that's the good side of it. You can tell us something about that, because soon after this, we will be discussing the flip side of, parents and children being, as a part of the digital world and how we can make it better for them. You want to tell all our viewers and our listeners as to what you actually do through Kidsstoppress?
Right. So it was something I started out of a very, very important need, which was to connect with parents, like-minded parents online, understanding that the Indian landscape on how we raise our children, whether it's physical, social, cultural, is so different. And that's why the conversations that I missed having with fellow parents or searching online and finding no answers is what I created with Kidsstoppress. just a trusted place where that helps me, that empowers me to make informed choices, is what Kidsstoppress is. And I must say, 8 years on, it still continues to do exactly that, empowering parents to make informed choices.
That's so fantastic. And, we follow you and you guys are all doing a great job. But I want to understand that could you throw some more light as to how we can better equip parents into understanding what platforms children are on and which ones are actually good for children?
Right. So just taking a cue out of what Uma said, as parents at home, our job is to fill those knowledge voids that exist, right? I think I would say it's not about keeping your children in the dark, but having those conversations. Protecting them is not a long-term solution. I remember this podcast that I was listening where Michelle Obama spoke, and she said, listen, I have to give them the value system, I have to give them the knowledge, and then they are going to make their mistakes. They are going to bang themselves into glass walls, which they cannot see when they're young. But when they do, if they know how to pick themselves up from there, then I feel like I've done a good job, right? So I think key and important thing for us as community stakeholders is to keep our children informed, have the right conversations with them, keep the corridors of conversation open, and make sure that they're aware about the perils of being online. And Neha, yours and my job, our kids see us online all the time. So they are far more at an advantage because they know that, she does this for a living. This is what it takes, but she's not posting every moment of our being on that. And we have the ability to explain to them that, example, I saw my daughter's friends posting something and, they tagged their location there, right? Not required. I quickly did not say, don't do this. Hey, you know what? This is great. Maybe they shouldn't have tagged their location because they were all alone at that mall and, it could have been used otherwise. So I
Yes.
think the key is to just explain them that, it's not about, I'm not saying I'm doing everything right? Because I think every day there are new updates and new technology. But I think the key is to tell them that to have the confidence as parents that when things go south, your children should come and be able to come and speak to you and look at you as a solution provider more than someone who's going to scream and shout at them.
I totally agree. You know what, you said something so important about, the location or little things that we need to make sure that, the thing is they are going to bang into those glass walls. Now, I want to go to you, Uma, for a minute over here. And, the whole child exploitation imagery. How does one, I'm going to keep saying this, that let's not share it, report it. But why is it important not to share CEI content?
Right. I think one has to understand that when you are looking at child sexual abuse imagery, you're looking at a crime scene. Let's put it that way. So you're not watching porn. You're actually watching a crime scene for which probably one child or many children have been groomed, they've been betrayed, they've been abused. And that content that you're watching is actually used to keep them in the cycle of exploitation, So children are actually being harmed in this process. And the more you share it, you're actually also feeding into this entire principle of demand and supply. The more people see it, the more it's produced, the more it's supplied, and
that's what they want, right?
Absolutely. That's what they want. And I think one of the most important things is that, when you share it too much, it's more difficult for analysts to take it down. If it's on multiple platforms, multiple websites on the public internet, it just makes people's job harder. And also think about the repercussions of people in your, in your circle. So you are sharing it thinking that I want to raise awareness, but have you thought about what kind of a trigger this is going to be to your friends who probably are not ready to handle something like this, who are not ready to sort of, do that. So I think the repercussions start from legal, which is, of course, you can be penalized, you can be punished if you're even browsing it or seeing it, sharing it, etc. But it also goes more than that. It's unethical. It hurts the dignity of children who are involved in this. And it's basically also used for grooming. So what we are seeing, Neha, in a lot of our cases is abusers. One has to understand that there is no line between online and offline, right? Because a lot of cases overlap. So abusers are using this content to actually desensitize children and sexually abuse them and make a video of that as well. So it actually is also used as a tool for grooming. So do not share it, like you said, Neha, very correctly. I think the only right thing to do is report it as much as you can in as many platforms as you can.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question. What are the measures that people can take when it comes to this kind of content? What are the other measures, like you said, that just go to as many platforms and then report it? Is that the solution? Is there anything else that one should do?
I mean, there are two aspects to it. First is reporting. So report to the platform in case you're coming across this particular content on a pornographic website or on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, whatever, social media platforms. Make sure you're reporting it to the platform. The other sort of avenues for reporting is you can report it anonymously to a Government of India hotline that they launched. It's called cybercrime.gov.in. You can also report it to the Aarambh India hotline that we run, where again, the idea is we try to take that image down as soon as we can, because we have to understand the victim's healing doesn't start unless and until the image is taken down,
Absolutely.
So you can do that in the online space. Offline, if you're seeing children in imminent danger, there is something in the country called as POCSO e-box, which you can access and report it. It's a government-run sort of service. And there is the Childline Helpline, which is 1098. But let's just understand that a lot of these cases are not as simple and straight as, there is an abuse, it's reported and it's taken. There are a lot of complications. It's an international crime that happens. But not to say that it's not possible to take it down and to rehabilitate victims.
I mean, and that's why we're here. We're having these conversations, and these conversations are very important, and they need to be had as parents, as people who are using social media. We're part of the whole, ask you, you're a parent, you run a parenting community, keeping children away from their mobile phones or tablets and all of that isn't the solution. What do you think that one should do? Now, when you hear something that Uma says, it's, instantly, the first thing you go as parents, and maybe because I'm also somebody who kind of goes to the extreme, and I'll be like, hey, let me just make sure that I don't give the phone or an iPad to my child. That's not the solution. How do you think we can actually explain it to our children, especially when they're younger, without actually scaring them away? Because great things also happen on the web. Like, there are wonderful things that happen, through social media.
Yeah. So I would say, Neha, that it's not like a one-time formula, but a repeated routine, right? And it starts with really, really small things like, I made a mistake in school, or I forgot to hand something in, or I missed my homework. Now, it's trust in these little things that'll help build trust for the bigger things, right? And it's how you react in these little situations that'll make all the big difference, right? They don't need to see you as people who will add to their problems, but people who will give solutions. And I always practice this thing with my kids, which is called the trust triangle, right? Which is you always value add to their problem, value add and be part of a solution, right? So they see you as solution providers. Second is validation or previous history, right? So they're seeing that, oh, mom helped me the last time, she will help me again, right? So that's testimonial to fact that you've been a solution provider. And the third is repeat action and pattern, right? This way you're constantly building trust with your kids for them to come and say that, listen, you know what? If things go wrong, come and speak to me. So if they see something that they're not supposed to see, or they feel like, is this even appropriate for me? Because you're not going to be there for them all the time. They will come and tell you. So that's about how you go about building trust. The other bit on scaring them is, I think, and COVID has been a classic example of teaching kids the power of social media. We brought together resources, whether it was medical, physical, financial, all of that, through social media. They saw what each one of us was doing with our Instagram handles or with our Facebook handles or with WhatsApp. Now they've seen that power. So I don't think that they need to know that the internet or social media or being online is bad, because they've seen that, right? What we need to do is also not make it seem like a broccoli and ice cream, because the minute it seems like a broccoli, it'll not be desirable. If it's like an ice cream, it'll always be desirable, right? So not doing that for any bit of it to scar them, because at some point in time they are going to be on social. So I would say that it's always very important to communicate the benefit and also the perils, so they're making informed choices, because at any point in time they will have two roads, two roads will diverge and they will need to make their choices. But if your voice kind of plays in on that moment, I think they'll take the right sort of decision on that.
Yeah, no,
Neha,
and that's really, yeah, sorry.
yeah,
Sorry, Uma, you were saying something?
yeah, I was just wanting to actually add to what Mansi said, just if I may. I think the
Yes,
entire thing
please.
that she talked about is, the spectrum that parents need to learn, which is the risk opportunity spectrum. That your children are going to take risks does not mean every risk is going to land them in danger. Similarly, there are lots of opportunities, does not mean all the opportunities are going to be beneficial for your children. So can we just understand that there are risks, there are opportunities, and the most important part, conversation beautifully put, Mansi, in terms of the need for it. But I think victim blaming, which is blaming your children. And we have had an on-ground case where a boy was unfortunately sexually abused, and his images were out there. He did everything by the book. Everything, all safety measures taken, all precautions taken, all privacy, measures taken, and yet it happened. And how do we react when that happens? When they make that mistake? I think completely no to that kind of a blaming for our children, and no censorship. I mean, I just wanted to sort of add that to what Mansi beautifully sort of put.
Did you say no censorship?
Yes, I said no to censorship, because I think
Okay.
one of the reactions, and we have to understand it in layers, Neha. In South Bombay or in places like Bombay, there is this, you can moderate, right? But in places you go outskirts of Maharashtra, they are going to snatch the phone from the girls. So what is the kind of censorship that we are looking at? So we've seen children who they've given away their gadgets. They've had to completely come out of social media platforms because they made a mistake.
No. Okay. So we're going to talk a little more about that, Uma, but I'm going to just go to Mansi, because there was a question that was ringing in my head when you were saying, Mansi, about, so, I just want to know from you that you're somebody who runs a parenting community. And you started off by saying that our children see us on social media. I have a parenting community as well. Of course, we talk about different things, but the fact is that physically what goes on, behind the scenes literally is they see us on the phone a lot. They see us, and as far as we'd like to believe, and because we know we're doing the right thing, they see us doing the right thing on the phone, and using this as a medium to actually amplify the things that we believe in. But when it comes to children, or a community of children, or like your if your son or daughter comes home and then they have like 5 other kids with them, what is it? What are the rules? Where do you draw the line as a parent, as somebody who's aware of what goes on digitally because you have a parenting community? What are the rules?
It's really hard. Let me just be straight up. Let me be really honest and say, um, you know, rules without a relationship will always equal to rebellion, right? So you can be by the book, you can create all the rules, but if you don't have that relationship to communicate to your child why you're making those rules, it'll just go straight out of the window, right? So my kids, Neha, have seen me be in front. I mean, they know my Instagram screen time, they know my Facebook screen time, they know how much time I
Can
spend
we
on
ask you
WhatsApp.
quickly, how much is it?
Yeah, so I spend on an average about 2.5 hours on Instagram every single day. And example, I'm going to hop on a live right now, and that's included, right? But they know that it's for work. They know, they see me talking the numbers. They see, what is she really doing behind? And somewhere I feel that, let me put it this way, that they know that this is her work, right? So that's a one big plus. I've never put their pictures online. I mean, you'll never see front up faces, you'll always see profiles, you'll see blurred images, simply because I understand, and because I come from an informed place, I understand that I am leaving a digital footprint every single minute, right? So
Yes.
that digital footprint better be good, right? So you will never see locations tagged, you will never see their school. Like, I know parents tag, the biggest mistake, parents drop day one of school and parents will put the name of the school in the location, right? And then you're writing your child's name, then you write grade, and then you'll have 1,000 other people saying, hey, congratulations. What are we doing, right? So why are you leaving a digital footprint which could be, and I had done a live with Tara Bedi of Instagram, and she said, Mansi, I as an Instagrammer never put my location when I am in that location. I always put it after I've left the location, right? Simple things like this, because my kids listen in on all my lives, they know it, and that's why they pick it up even better. But I would say that the key is you got to follow what you're preaching, because otherwise they're going to give it back to you. They may listen to you at 4, 5, 6, 7. I have a 12-year-old. They're going to give it back to you at some point if you're not following the line yourself, right? So I think there are no rules. You got to make your own rules, what defines your core. And surprising, people would think that, okay, my daughter is already on, and I think the policymakers really have a reason why they have what, the rules of the right age, etc. And I think a lot of great kids organization or young adult organizations like the YLAC, who's collaborating with Instagram, is doing some phenomenal work in ensuring that there is a lot of positivity that goes around, and it's social for good.
Mansi, everything that you said has been so wonderful, and the rules that you laid out as a parent. And what's great is that you do say that you can't take them away from social media, but when you're actually getting them closer to social media, you can teach them how to use it the right way, or even if it means using the internet the right way. And you have a parenting community, and through you, we can actually reach out to many parents. Thank you so much, Mansi, for talking to us and being a part of this conversation. It's a very important one that needs to be had now and even for the future. Thank you for your time. We know that you have to spend more time on Instagram, so we're going to let you go. And thank you for your wise words.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you, Uma. And guys, like Neha said it, I'm just going to close it with that: report it, don't share it, right?
Absolutely.
So good luck, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.